My question for each member of the panel, in a word, what would be the impact if the next farm bill completely eliminated ARC and PLC payments? If there's anyone that can answer. No one?
Project 2025, we discuss a lot how it will impact people of color, how it will impact the LGBTQ community, all those culture war things, which are all incredibly important. I'm a member of the LGBTQ community myself, and it's very, very scary. And one thing that's not heavily discussed is the ways in which it will impact Trump's own voter base. It's not a big surprise that a lot, not all, but a lot of farmers in this country are Republican these days. A lot of them voted for Trump, and they think that he's going to help them. It's hard to be a farmer. It's hard to be a rancher right now. It is. Did you know it costs upwards of $600,000 for a single tractor? It is nearly impossible to keep your head above water, especially if you're a small family farm. And I want to discuss the ways in which Republicans plan to impact said farmers. This example is specifically going to be about what Project 2025 would initiate, which would negatively impact farmers by quite a bit, and how Republicans claim to be this party of the working class, and they claim to be champions of the blue-collar worker, and they talk a lot about farmers and ranchers and needing to support our farmers and ranchers, and then they turn around and try to enact policies that will actively negatively affect farmers and ranchers.
Our farmers they stand for all of our values, traditional family values, freedom, independence, the ability to live and sustain yourself and your family off the land. The Biden administration and Democrats are ruining that, and they're destroying the very important, most critical part of the fabric of America, and that is our farmers. And I'm so upset about this. It has me so angry, but they're doing it on purpose. I mean, they want to be the global economy. They want to be completely involved. And here we have these random, supposedly accidental fires at food processing plants.
Not once in that clip did Marjorie Taylor Greene state how Democrats are hurting farmers or how Republicans plan to help farmers beyond attacking people in culture wars that have nothing to do and don't impact farmers in the slightest. Republicans like this cosplay as almost as farmers and as farmer lovers, and they support farmers and they support ranchers, and they use it for their aesthetic, and they post it on Twitter. Pictures of me with a tractor, me with a tomato. Oh, I'm a farmer. I'm a friend to the farmer. They claim that the Democratic culture war issues are negatively impacting farmers, but then don't tell you how. Guess what? Trans people, LGBTQ community, gay marriage, that's not affecting farmers. You know what is affecting farmers? Taking away their fail-safes, taking away their safety nets, and pushing small farms underground and out of sight.
This action plan, written by Trump's closest advisors, has a whole lot to say about the Farm Bill that I don't think my colleagues on this committee will like. It calls for the elimination of the sugar program, which would destroy what is left of our domestic sugar industry at a time when they are already struggling. These Trump advisors also call to eliminate the Vital Conservation Reserve program, pulling the rug out from farmers and ranchers all across the country. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. I encourage everyone watching this to read what I just entered into the record. Let me try to sum it up in just a couple of words. My question for each member of the panel, in a word, what would be the impact if the next farm bill completely eliminated ARC and PLC payments? If there's anyone that can answer. No one? Okay, so no one knows. Well, I will tell you. The unthinkable, what happened. Trump's advisors in Project 2025 also called for the elimination of these vital programs. What we on the Agriculture Committee know to be a vital support to ensure our farmers and ranchers don't lose their land because of the cyclical nature of production of agriculture, Trump's advisors view as, and I quote, especially egregious examples of what they think needs to be cut. Frankly, if you want to put more farm in the Farm Bill, we need to get a Farm Bill reauthorized and out the gate before these anti-farmer advisors have a chance to be in the White House, depending on how the November election goes.
In Project 2025, they state that they want to scrap the ARC and the PLC. And for those of you who aren't farmers and ranchers, and I'm sure a lot of you aren't, those are financial safety nets set for farmers because the market, when it comes to food, turns out, can be incredibly volatile. It provides financial safety nets so that on off years, farmers don't just get thrown out of business because they can't afford to keep up with production. And no surprise, the smaller the farm, the smaller the ranch, the harder they're going to take that kind of hit. And these programs sometimes keep these ranches and these farms alive. So while Republicans on TV are claiming that gay people being allowed to marry and, trans people being able to use whichever bathroom they feel they need to is what's negatively impacting, our farmers somehow, even though you literally can't come up with a way that impacts them. They're going sneakily behind the scenes trying to take away safety nets and funding for said farmers.
You see, my Republican colleagues who think a 2025 Farm Bill would be worth waiting for think that way because they think a potential Trump administration would be good for the bill. For those who think that a potential Trump administration wouldn't actually take steps to achieve these policies, let me remind you of something many Americans have forgotten. In the waning days of the Trump administration, December 2020, the President of the United States vetoed the National Defense Authorization Act 2 days before Christmas. Funding for our troops was jeopardized because advisors wanted to show their support for Confederate traitors. In an emboldened potential next Trump administration, it is sadly far too easy to imagine a veto of the Farm Bill that doesn't have these terrible provisions.
Republicans would rather play identity politics to distract their voter base than to actually help their voter base live easier, happier, more fulfilling lives. This incoming administration is all about capitalism. It is all about anti-regulation on larger companies, and it is all about making sure that the rich stay rich, get richer. Guess who's not rich? Most farmers. Guess where they take the money from to make sure that the rich get richer? It's from the people who aren't rich. Capitalism and the well-being of farms, especially smaller farms, has never mixed. Does not mix, has never mixed. Historically, capitalism and anti-regulation has only hurt small farms in the long run. Because when you have these massive corporations, like the largest food corporation in this country, the Cargill Incorporated, which had a big part to do in the Depression, by the way, you can look that up. When you have capitalists ruling this country and anti-regulationists ruling this country and they don't regulate these large corporations, they are allowed to step on the backs of smaller farms in order to make even more profit. Anti-regulation doesn't help the small guy. Anti-regulation doesn't help the blue-collar worker. I'm sorry, I know you hate your HOA. I hate my HOA. But it's not going to help with that kind of thing. Anti-regulation is going to help the companies, the massive multi-billion-dollar corporations that are already on top, just step on you and keep you down and pay for everything because no one's telling them no. No one's telling them they can't. That's what a regulation is. It tells large corporations, you can't do that because it hurts someone else. There's no regulations. They can do whatever they want at your expense.